What is hate crime?
According to the government's Action Against Hate Plan Review 2018, a hate crime is defined as any criminal offence which is perceived by the victim or any other person as being motivated by hatred or prejudice based on a person's race, religion, sexual orientation, transgender identity, or disability, or the perception of that person having any of those characteristics. A non-crime, i.e. anything that is not a criminal offence, is defined as a hate incident.
Yes, but what does that mean? It means there might be people that commit a hate crime against you, such as name-calling, abuse, or much worse, just because they think you're different to them.
Hate crimes can affect everyone. The government realised they needed to review what was happening about the increasing number of hate crimes. That's why they updated the policy they wrote in 2016. The policy tells us about the effects that hate crimes have on our society.
How many different people do you know living on this island? I'll tell you now of some that I know. We're all different, that's for certain. Men and women, children, black and white and Asian, people with a disability, transgender, Muslim, traveller or gay. We're all different, that's for certain. Hate crime reflects on us as a society. Hate crime can cause lasting physical and emotional damage.
They can evoke fear, anxiety and despair in victims and spread fear and mistrust in communities, thus weakening the glue that binds our society together.
How many people think that it's okay to pick on another person? We're not all the same, you can't call me names, that's not okay for certain. Men and women, children, black and white and Asian, people with a disability, transgender, Muslim, traveller or gay, we're all different, that's for certain.
They strike at the heart of our democracy by undermining our basic rights to equality and non-discrimination. Hate crimes can affect anybody regardless of their race, religion, ethnicity or transgender identity.
How many people look and stare and drive just because they think we're different? I'll tell you now that this is not okay. It's a hate crime or a hate incident. Men and women, children, black and white and Asian, people with a disability, transgender, Muslim, traveller or gay, we're all different, that's for certain.
People with a learning disability are often the target of hate crime.
Because I think it's wrong because we're all on this earth to be somebody, not to be judged and not to be disliked. And I think it's like stigma what goes round where if your face don't fit, you're nothing, but if your face fits, you're somebody. Because it's wrong to be treated differently. Over the years, I've been treated differently when I was younger.
Yeah.
And I've overcome quite a lot of different things in life.
If someone has been violent or hostile towards you just because you have a learning disability, then you have been a victim of a disability hate crime or hate incident.
What is a learning disability hate crime?
A crime committed against an individual motivated by hatred or hostility towards someone because they have a learning disability. Verbal abuse. This is when someone shouts at you or calls you names. Physical abuse. This is when someone hits you. Online or phone abuse. This is when someone calls you names on the phone or by text or email. Damage to property or theft. This is when someone breaks something you have or steals from you. 9 out of 10 people with a learning disability have experienced a learning disability hate crime.
Out of all the hate crimes, learning disability hate crime is the least reported, and it's increasing.
How easy do you think it is for other people with disabilities to report that you work with?
I won't be what as easy for them, I don't think. I think they get to his guys, didn't say anything. I didn't myself may not even know who to tell to.
Yeah, so you feel they don't always feel confident,
Yes.
or they're too worried
Yes.
to report.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
And there's some I know they know about safe places, and obviously but still when our dads go in, then that's for support in what they and how they react.
Disability hate crimes in England and Wales have surged by a third over the last year, according to disturbing new police figures obtained by the charity United Response. 32 or 43 police officers, which responded to a Freedom of Information request from United Response, recorded a total of 5,342 disability hate crimes in 2017 to 18. A dramatic 33% rise on the 4,000 offences from the previous year.
Violence against the person increased 17%.
Fraud up 1,050%.
Sexual offences doubled from 70 to 152.
Arson and criminal damage up 42%.
Public order offences increased 69%.
The total number of disability hate crimes dealt with by the police forces is likely to be even higher, as 11 forces across England and Wales failed to provide any figures. Hate crime affects the victims' families as well as the victims. This is a story of a mother who has a son with Down syndrome living in York. Recorded by Matthew Salisbury in October 2018 in connection with United Response, a learning disability support charity. Please note that all names have been changed to protect identities.
Once I put my recycle bins at the front of the house, something which one of my neighbours clearly didn't like. She started telling my son Alex to move them. She was quite nasty about it to both of us. This quickly spiralled into our entire family giving us both abuse, and whenever he was home alone, they'd be harassing him, openly talking badly about me to upset him. Alex started ripping his clothes with the stress and anxiety, something he's done since he was little. I found enough ripped clothes to fill a black sack which was hidden behind his bed. He was losing his independence as he wanted me to be at home all the time for fear of them upsetting him. I had to call the police several times, and eventually she received police caution. Even after that, I had to call the police again, which stopped her from doing anything further, but her mother and her children, they continued the harassment. After nearly 2 years, we decided to move to get away from them. I suffered from stress and anxiety and depression on and off, and it made me extremely ill. I had never, ever come across anybody who had disliked my son's disability. She said she couldn't understand why the other neighbours had him round. I had to call all of Alex's day services to explain what was happening, which is distressing. They had to talk to him and keep an eye on him to stop him from ripping his clothes. I had to go to the doctor to get help and to speak to a counsellor. It still affects me. I now keep to myself and I try not to engage with the new neighbours. I also keep the blinds down in the kitchen and I try to go to the garage when there's nobody outside. Even recalling it now, I feel sick and tearful.
People with a learning disability rarely report harassment. The Equality and Human Rights Commission say that this is a problem hidden in plain sight.
The cases reported by the media are often the most serious offences. The minor offences go unreported and unrecorded.
Charities and organisations are encouraging people to speak out and report hate crimes. They are encouraging people to go to the police.
Dial 999 if it's happening today. Dial 101 if it happened yesterday.
The Citizens Advice Bureau can provide help and support. They encourage you to remember that the incident that happened to you may have been a hate crime. They say that if you believe the crime is based on hate, then that's what you should tell the person you're reporting it to, and they should record what you've told them.
Would that help the judge make a tougher sentence on the offender?
It would if it could be proved that they targeted you because of their prejudice against disabled people. The crime would then be a disability hate crime. The judge would then impose a tougher sentence on the offender under the Criminal Justice Act 2003.
Stephen has Asperger's syndrome and lives in Rochdale. He shared his experience of hate crime with Rochdale Borough Safeguarding Adults Board.
It's when I was living with my mum that the trouble started. She's got a learning disability and some local youth started causing her problems. They used to shout things at her like child abuser, and they used to throw things at the doors and the windows. And it became like a game for them. Well, my mum, I'm not a violent man, but my mum needed protecting. So I said that I would report them to the police. Now this didn't bother the youths, and they said that one of them said he would report me to his brother and his brother would come and get me. And then they chased me, and I just about managed to get through my front door. My little dog was going mad in the house. Quite a while later, when I was coming back from the shops, I saw these two lads and they were coming towards me. So I turned and I ran and I tripped and I twisted my ankle, and this made me a sitting target for the youths, and they beat me up so badly that I ended up going to hospital. The two girls that were with them helped carry me home, and I thought that was really nice, but my uncle saw them laughing when the ambulance drove past to take me to hospital later. Nowadays, I just keep to myself. I didn't look for revenge. Bullies are a disgrace. What they did is what's called hate crime. They shouldn't be allowed to get away with it. They can really hurt people. The best thing to do is to report it to the police and let them deal with it. Dial 999 if it's happening today. Dial 101 if it happened yesterday.
Why do you think we should stop disability hate crime?
I don't think they should. I think they should stop the people who, like the bullies, who hurt people like myself and other people, because it's not fair on us living in a world of society nowadays where we're all like individuals and we're all trying to live our lives, but some of them, when they do things like that, some of them haven't got souls, and some of them haven't got hearts where they should like understand somebody different.
Tim Cooper, Chief Executive of United Response, included the following comments in his response to the government's updated action plan on hate crimes that was published on the 16th of October 2018.
We share government's commitment to stamping out hate crimes across the board and firmly welcome new measures in its updated action plan, particularly its efforts to share good practice and address the underreporting of disability hate crimes. Victims of hate crimes must know that they shouldn't have to suffer in silence. As a nation, we must do everything we can to empower those who suffer appalling hate crimes to speak out. We all have a role to play in ending this sort of mindless abuse and discrimination once and for all.
But people are still suffering in silence. Yes, the government updated their policy and they said they needed to make a change, but that doesn't change the fact that the Disability Rights Crime Commission state that of the 9 out of 10 disabled people who have told somebody they've experienced a hate crime, only 4 out of 10 would tell the police.
Sticks and stones, 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 sticks and stones, 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 sticks and stones, stones, stones.
Sticks and stones may break my bones, but sticks and stones can start to build bridges.
Sticks and stones, 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 sticks and stones, 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 sticks and stones, stones, stones.
I may not have the words to shout back like you, but I feel the slice of your comments through my confidence, each one whittling it down a little more. I feel the burn of my shame when you laugh at me, as if I'm not human, as if I'm an animal. When you spat at me to see how I'd react, I felt dirty, I felt grimy. I went home and I showered. I showered and showered. And I scrubbed and scrubbed. I don't get the bus now on my own because of you. I can't go to the shop alone or get to the club without a cab because you didn't think it through. And you thought, when you spat, that I didn't react.
We need to encourage people to speak out.
There are charities and support services who want to help put a stop to disability hate crime. Karen Aspley is the Nottinghamshire Stop Hate Crime Coordinator based at Nottingham Mencap.
The Smile Stop Hate Crime project was founded as a result of the underreporting of learning disability hate crime. Adults with learning disabilities are particularly vulnerable in our communities, and we must do everything we can to protect their safety so that they can live very full lives.
But people are still suffering in silence. Yes, we acknowledge there has been progress, but that doesn't change the fact that there have been an awful lot of reports saying very similar things over the last 10 years.
It's not enough to write reports, and it's not enough to collate the evidence.
What are we going to do about it?
What are our communities going to do about it?
What are our partners, the police, the emergency services, the councils going to do about it?
It's a very serious issue that affects a very large number in our community. The latest hate crime figures for 2018, according to the Nottinghamshire Police, state that there were 124 disability hate crimes reported. This is a 38% increase from the previous year.
We need to do something about it, and we need to do it now.
The reason why I'm very passionate about police work, safe places and smarts at hate crime, it's just because I was bullied in the past so many times, years ago, and got vaccine and all that. I'm just really passionate about police to represent other people with learning and physical disabilities, and I'm really passionate for safety, not just myself, but just for their safety as well, really. And I think things need to be sorted. This day and age, the 21st century, yes, we've still got a long way to go, like I said before. It needs to be slowed down a lot. Best of all, stopped.
There is something we can all do about it.
We can support someone that we think is experiencing a hate crime.
If you see someone that looks like they need your support, stop and have a chat with them. See if they need your help. You can call the police and tell them what you've seen.
We can all work together to stop hate crime.
Is there anyone calls you a name? What are you going to do? Stop it! If you get teased, you don't feel pleased. What are you going to do? Stop it!
No